Alright, here we are with another episode about FortiOS. In this episode, I'm going to check the new version of the FortiOS, which is FortiOS 7.6.4 and has been released a few days ago. And we are going to take a look about what are the new features announced in this version. I will try to make more of these videos in the futures, but I don't promise, as always. So stick with us. Let's go through all the new features and see which one of them is the best, and tell me which one of them is the most useful for you in the comments. Stay with us. Alright, so the first new feature which is announced is filtering on policy lists. This is a new feature, so you can basically, like logging the traffic, you can filter on a lot of stuff like bytes, packet, hit counts, and so on. So if you go to your firewall policy lists and click on the search bar, you will see a lot of new options, like usual, like filtering on the traffic policy. And you can filter all the policies based on your matching criteria. I have something here just to demo, to show up. And in here, if I click on the plus, and for example, if I say NAT, I have one policy which has NAT, the other one doesn't have. And if I do filtering based on NAT enabled, I will see only one firewall policy. That's basically this. Another one is support for additional NIC interface diagnostics. I have tried this one, but I didn't receive, or I didn't get the information mentioned here, because this is very comprehensive. I think it's for some specific devices. I have a FortiGate 60F here, and if I try that one, it was diagnose hardware device info, hardware device info NIC, and if I, for example, try internal one, I just get very short description about the packets and about the link and other stuff, but I don't get the comprehensive one. I think this is related to a specific model, or maybe a switch. I'm not sure about this one. But yeah, you will get a lot more information in the new version if you do NIC interface diagnostics. The next one is auto speed negotiation for 10G base T on FortiGate 100 series, 100F series, let's say. So apparently it was not supported in the past on FortiGate 100F series, and now on you can have speed auto. So the link itself, the port itself, detects the supported speeds and sets the related speed. Yeah, sounds very basic, but apparently it was not supported in the past. Yeah, you need to be happy for this. I don't know, it's 40. The next one, which is a bit more interesting, which I liked it because I already worked with the hub and spoke deployment, and it's very interesting. It's a support to do traffic shaping based on IK bandwidth negotiation. You have to do a bit of more configuration on your hub and spoke, and then what happens, imagine your spoke, or usually your spoke has different upload or different uplinks. Let's say you have satellite, you have internet, you have MPLS, whatever, and these have different bandwidths. So actually in this scenario, spoke will tell hub, these are my preferred bandwidth for the link, and the hub will decide to choose the best optimal how to say, the link toward the hub, or the uplink, to build the connection between the spokes. That's basically it. So if you have to do a bit of more configuration on your phase 1, you have to set the IK version 2, set PA egress shaping, you have to set it enable, and then set peer egress shaping value, and then the spoke will tell the hub. Let's go through all this. So this is the setting on the hub. You basically, as I told you, set the version. Net device is disabled. This is related to hub and spoke situation. It's not about this specific function. And here, this is new. Set peer egress shaping enabled. And you do some routing stuff, policy stuff. These are okay. And here you have to define a traffic class for it, and then use that class here in shaping profile, and create your shaping profile, and then apply it here, which is the most important part. You have to set bandwidth to 0. You should not change the bandwidth. This is on the hub. Be careful, this is on the hub. So you should set the bandwidth to 0. Why? Because you are going to receive this bandwidth from the spoke. And on spoke side, you obviously set the IC version to 2, set peer egress shaping enabled, and here you define your shaping value. For example, you say 500 KB for this tunnel, and the spoke will share this information toward the hub. So if you check on the hub, you will see the traffic for that tunnel, the bandwidth for that tunnel is 500 kbs. And if you go into the negotiation, you will see this message has been discussed, has been negotiated when the tunnel was coming up, and the hub has received the value and already applied it. And on the spoke side, you can see there was a notification that peer egress shaping was sent and everything was negotiated. So that's basically this feature. We have a cool enhancement on ADVPN version 2. So let me summarize it and make it simple for you. In ADVPN version 2, there was a load balancing feature announced between spokes. So if one spoke wants to connect to another spoke, it will check and see, okay, I can choose H1 T11 and H1 T11 to reach to spoke 2, or I can choose this one and then from there here H1 T22 to reach to spoke 2, or I can choose this one and then this one, or this one and this one. So what it says is I have 4 ways to reach to spoke 2. Then it starts to build multiple shortcuts between spoke 1 and spoke 2. But what happens here? Because there is no benefit in building multiple shortcuts between spoke 1 and spoke 2. Why? Because the underlay is actually one line, one single line. And there is only one internet uplink on spoke 1, which is connected to port 1, and here as well, only one internet uplink. So why bother? Why should we create multiple shortcuts to reach spoke 2? This doesn't give us any benefits. So in the past, the spokes were not aware of the underlay. Now in this version, they are aware of the underlay, and they don't see any benefit in building multiple shortcuts between each other. And that's one of the coolest thing happened in version 7.6.4. You can put them in a specific transport group, and what happens, these are the basic configuration and nothing special in the past. So if you see how I can reach to this network on spoke 2, it says, okay, you have this option going through this tunnel, or you have this option going through the other tunnel. And as I told you, if they want to establish a shortcut, they see, okay, I have 4 different methods to reach to the other side. But now with the new feature, it just established one shortcut and it is chosen. As a result, it will give it a higher GID value something very large, so it is always preferred. They make a shortcut and they start using it. This is, I think, one of the coolest things happened in version 7.6.4. All right. The next one is the same traffic shaping by ISDB bandwidth negotiation, but this time is between spoke to spoke. So a few minutes ago we discussed about spoke to hop, and now it is spoke to spoke. The concept is the same, so I'm not going to explain this one in details, but you can see, but it's the same. Another feature is hybrid strategy for service rule. So what is this one? In the past, when you wanted to have a service in your SD-WAN, you had only option to choose one criteria or one tiebreaker. Now this has become more flexible, so you can have multiple tiebreaker, and the FortiGate calculates which one is the best. As an example, here they described one spoke having multiple links to different hubs or different POP sites, and they want to reach to the external network. And they basically start establishing the SD-WAN, they configure the SD-WAN and do the configuration, and they play with the different criteria like latency, jitter, and so on, and they will show you how this will affect choosing the best path to reach the external network. This is also one of the coolest things that I discovered in the version 7.6.4. The details are there. I'm not going through them. It's a long page, so let's skip this one. Okay, another one is GUI support for FQDN address group within ISDB. Well, I didn't notice a lot of change here, but maybe I'm wrong. So now you can choose a specific group in your firewall policy if you want to filter a destination or source or whatever, and you can put them in a group and use it in your firewall policy. Seems nice, yeah? Another cool feature in FortiOS 7.6.4 is having a tab in firewall address type, which is telemetry. So for those who don't know what is a telemetry, the FortiTelemetry is a specific protocol designed by Fortinet to let Fortinet devices communicate with each other through this telemetry protocol. Now, as far as I remember, I never worked with this one, to be honest, but as far as I remember, you had to create a address object in a specific format in the past to let them to communicate with each other. There was a discussion here, I think this one or this one, they had to have such a prefixes in the past, but now you have the option to have the telemetry and create different names. You don't need to follow a specific pattern to create the names and also groups and use them in your firewall policies. Yeah, here. So that's also another improvement. I'm not going to details. The next one is extended ZTNA error codes and replacement messages. The name speaks itself. So when you get an error in your FortiClient or EMS or whatever you are using, you get extended information about the errors. That's also new. Shared use security posture tags with EMS. So now in FortiGate, you can share the tags used in the FortiGate with your EMS client. That's also something new. You just need to add this part to your configuration. The next one is FortiSandbox. In the past, to be able to use FortiSandbox, you had to put your firewall in the proxy mode. But now they announce, in the new feature, they announced you can do inline scanning in the flow mode. So no more proxy. And they have showed different examples. The example one is inline scanning for HTTPS actions. They try to download a malicious file from internet and it gets blocked. The Second one is they verified over FTP. So they try to transfer a file and it gets blocked. The next one is in POP3. It checks your emails inline for any malicious file or something, and they get blocked. The next cool feature is integration with FortiData. For those who don't know what is FortiData, it's a Fortinet product. It's for discovering, classifying, and labeling files within your storage system. So you define some tags, some labels on your FortiData, and it goes through your hard drive, your storage, and applies those tags on those files. And the idea is with the new FortiOS version, you can communicate or integrate FortiData with your FortiGate, and then you can assign some policies, some actions based on the files and the labels that are passing through your network. So let's quickly have an overview of this one. Those are some new commands that they are introducing, so the first thing is to make a fabric and connect your FortiData to your FortiGate. So here you enter your FortiGate information in FortiData, and you do vice versa. So you allow it in your FortiGate as well. So they start to be connected and start communicating with each other. And you can also see the status using this diagnose command. And then the connection is established. So the next step is in your FortiData, you define some custom labels, and it goes and start labeling the files. And they have some examples here. And you can define some actions in your FortiGate firewalls. So you need to go to your FortiGate and define some DLP labels and DLP profiles and define the action, which is here is set to block, and then add that DLP profile to your firewall policy. And they have three examples here. The first example is to be blocked. They have a client who is trying to use FTPS to query some files, and the firewall blocks that data. FTPS service is blocked, and it's shown here. Also, you can see it over CLI. The second scenario is to quarantine the file, so you cannot upload it, and you get network error on your server, and that is also logged into your FortiGate firewall. The next action is that allows you to do whatever you want, but it monitors. It also generates a log in your FortiGate, so you can later on check it out and do whatever action you want. This seems a bit cool to me. And the next one is integration with MPIP. This is the same FortiData, but it's a Microsoft product, so they can integrate with each other. The cool thing with this one is you don't need to manually define DLP profiles and the tags and labels and so on. So they communicate dynamically with each other, which was not the case previously with the FortiData. You have to manually create it on your FortiGate. The concept is the same. So you start the communication, you connect these two products to each other, and they share the tags, and you define firewall policies. Can be, I don't know, monitoring or blocking or whatever, and you get logs for that. The concept is the same. The next one is application control support for generative AI. This is also new. With the growth of the AI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, I don't know, Gemini and other stuff. So they have added this application control support in your what was the name? It was security profiles. So because I think my license has been expired, so I don't see it here, but I believe Fortinet, you should be able to see it here in your generative AI as a category, and you get logs for that. That's cool. That's cool, right? You get logs for that, so you can see who is communicating with AI and when and so on and so forth. You also get a lot of different information about the signatures, AI signatures, so you can have those signatures used in your firewall. The next cool thing that I found it is you can have widgets in your dashboard. That was cool. And they will give you some information about the risk, AI model, sessions, and you can also drill down to the information and get more information. I think this is also cool because with the growth of the AI, people start using that. So maybe in the future they add some information about what files are also being shared with the AI as well. And maybe with FortiData you can stop or deny access to those files, because I know a lot of people, they just shovel some sensitive data into AI and not being so careful about it. And this might not be intended in some companies. They have some policies about this, and so you can have a dashboard about it and see. I'm not sure because I haven't used this one yet because of licensing issues, but maybe in the future it will be implemented and you will have such a comprehensive information about the changes and about the AI and what is passed through your network. That's cool. The next one is SAML authentication in proxy policy using SCIM. SCIM is a protocol that can be used in this case. So they are showing an example where FortiGate is service provider, FortiAuthenticator is identity provider. They basically, in a nutshell, they establish a connection between each other. And when a user wants to go to a sample website, you get a notification, you get blocked here, you get a pop-up here. You have to authenticate yourself and then you will get access to your website or your resources, and you get also some logs. That's also cool. They have the CLI version here as well, but it's the same concept. They have the SAML users that you can define locally as a local user, so you can use user-specific control in both firewall policy and agentless VPNs. That's also cool. So here in the past you didn't have the SAML users, and now you can have it. You can also assign it to a specific group, and you can have it in your firewall policies and define some actions based on that. You can grant access to some network resources, and so this is also cool. I liked it. This makes life so much easier, honestly. Another feature is configuring FTM push with dynamic IP handling in GUI. So in the past you had to enter the IP address of or the domain name of the Forti token for the mobile push service server, but now this can be done dynamically. So you have to set the interface here in your FTM push settings, and you don't need to set any IP anymore, and automatically that IP that is set on the interface will be chosen for your FTM push services. This is useful when you have a WAN network, when this is a WAN network and it dynamically changes whenever you reboot the modem or your FortiGate. So you don't need to manually update the IPv4 of that setting anymore. It's dynamically, it can be fetched. The next one is adding event logging for IPv4 source code. This is a switch feature. So every switch has a MAC IP binding table, which is dynamically updated. And if the IP address and the MAC address are changed, they will get blocked. Why this is useful? This is useful for IPv4 IP spoofing attacks. So they have their own MAC IP binding, and if this is changed, they will generate a log for that, so you get notified, and this is an example of the log. So you know why a traffic is violated and why it's dropped and so on. We have a bunch of improvements in layer 3 switch configuration. Yes, and so we have switch virtual interfaces. Now you can have, it's a logical interface that you can create on the VLAN. I'm not sure what this is exactly because I already created in the past on the FortiSwitches. But anyway, and you can also define routed virtual interfaces, which the port itself becomes a layer 3 protocol supported interface. So you cannot have any VLAN or any of these features anymore on that port. It's basically it's for useful for point-to-points, let's say, point-to-point connections where you directly connect a cable from one side to another side and you want to have IPs on those interfaces. This is also now supported. Again, static IPv4 routing, I say again because it's not very clear for me. I already configured static IPv4 routing on a switch, a FortiSwitch before, so I'm not sure what they are talking about. Virtual routing and forwarding is now supported. This is a good feature, so you can have VRFs now on the switches or on the routers. That's also cool. You can distinguish, you have different routing tables on the same switch. That's cool. You can configure a DHCP server. The name speaks itself, so nothing special about this one. You can configure the maximum burst size for a storm control. So for those who know, storm control is very useful to stop denial of service, where if the traffic hits a certain threshold and they start sending burst packets in large numbers, the switch will block the traffic. This is a mechanism to defend the network. And you can have different profiles for a storm control, and also you can define the maximum burst size for storm control. And everything is over CLI, and you can see it here. Increase in the length of managed FortiSwitch names. It's saying itself, and don't need any more information about this one. The next one is integrating FortiSwitch NAC and 802.1x authentication. So in this case, after a successful authentication against 802.1x, the NAC user policy gets checked, and based on the assigned specific user group gets network access. You have to add these radius attributes to your radius server, and it has to be returned, and then the config keeps working. And also you can define the period. The default is 5 minutes. That's basically it. Another, I think this is the coolest, I can say this is the coolest feature that is added in FortiOS 7.6.4. You can get free FortiGate automatic firmware upgrade within the same major release. So imagine you get 47.6.5 or I don't know 6.10 whatever, and your license is expired. You don't need to renew your license to get updates within the same major version. This is, I think, the coolest one. The next one is enhanced administrative authentication and session monitoring. They have a new daemon which is called HTTP authentication of D, let's see. And this handles all the administrative authentication and centralization and the process and so forth. And another improvement is the admin password can be shown now. Yes, that's it. It's a feature. Also, enhance firmware upgrade management for extension devices. So this is basically you can get rid of the annoying notification that you have to upgrade and so on. You just dismiss the reminder, and that is no more there. So until the next version is released, that's basically it. Then we have improved manual failover for FortiGates deployed in active passive architecture with virtual wired pair using the wildcard VLAN. So in the past, only the native VLAN was receiving gratis ARP when a failover was happening. But now all the non-native VLANs are aware of this event, a failover event. In the example here shown, you are doing a virtual wire pair between a physical interface and a VLAN. This is, I think, new in the version 7.6, where you can do a virtual wire pair between a physical interface and a VLAN. I'm not sure, to be honest. And they trigger a manual failover, where in the before the failover, the master was passing the traffic, and when the failover happens, everything is switched to the when the failover happens, everything is switched to the backup or the passive one, and you get logs for that one. Multus CNI for Kubernetes connectors. So all the IPs in your Kubernetes pod get synced with your FortiGate. For those who don't know what is a CNI, so basically a pod in a Kubernetes can have multiple IPs, and these IPs can be changed depending on the situation, or can be fixed, or can be temporarily used during the deployment. And if you have a policy for your Kubernetes SDN network, these can be synced during the deployment or even the final installation with your FortiGate. So you can assign it to the firewall policy, and in this case they established the connection between the Kubernetes and the FortiGate, and they created a network policy objects addresses, and they asked, or they told, just collect the private IPs, and if you hover your mouse over the address, you can see what address are already being shared, and you can assign it to a firewall policy, so you grant access to the network. That's basically it. Then we have almost the same situation with the APIC controller, which is for Cisco, and you basically connect FortiGate to your APIC controller, and the IPv6 information are shared between FortiGate and your SDN. This is it. And the last one is zone information fields in logs. So you can have your zone information if you enable it in your log setting, and you can see what zones are used in your traffic. This is very useful. I found it very useful, where you have multiple zones, for example, trusted, untrusted, DMZ, and so on. In the past, the interfaces were shown, so you have to memorize, or you have to have a dictionary and see what is that interface used, in which zone it is. But now you can directly just see your zone and say, okay, from untrusted was going to trusted, or from DMZ to WAN or IPsec, or whatever zone you have. And this helps you to faster troubleshoot your traffics. So that was basically, I hope you liked the video. If you like, just remember to leave a comment, subscribe, like it, and tell me you are interested in those videos, and I will keep making more videos like this, and maybe for other brands, other vendors, MikroTik, Juniper, whatever is possible. And that's it. So I will see you with the next release. Bye bye.